It looks down the field to Theon Kane, and he collects it for a Clemson touchdown. He's in the pocket, shoots it downfield for Kane again, who makes a diving catch for a touchdown. And taking a shot, losing the ball. Clemson's got it. Watson keeps it, pitches it across the middle. Touchdown, Williams. Forsyth out of the backfield, didn't see him and throws a pick. Slant, Scott fights free and walks in. A 1-2 punch from the Tigers.
Not only is this one of Clemson's greatest games, in my opinion, this is Clemson's greatest game that has been played in Death Valley in the last couple of decades. You had a matchup of an upstart quarterback. We know him now, but we didn't know him back then. Lamar Jackson burst onto the scene the 4 weeks before this ball game, and you had him going against the best quarterback in the country, Deshaun Watson. He had already proven it over 2 seasons at Clemson. This was the year that you expected Deshaun Watson to do fantastic things and lead Clemson to a national title.
This was a game between 2 top 5 teams, Louisville and Clemson. But it almost felt like it was coming down to a game between 2 Heisman hopefuls in Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson. People were just pinning them together. It was going to be Lamar versus Deshaun. I remember the promos were saying that. It almost wasn't even a Clemson-Louisville game anymore. So it was a lot of pressure on Deshaun Watson because he had had a few lackluster games, and of course he was the Heisman favorite coming off being a finalist in 2015. That was the big talk, and we talked about that all week. People saying Lamar Jackson was better, people saying Lamar ain't played nobody. Everyone was saying that.
I wanted to play that game. There was so much hype, so much energy, and I was a fan. I was sitting in the stands, so a whole new perspective for me, and able to take in the game an entire different way, sitting in the West End Zone and seeing this view of my guys, my boys, that I played with and fought with.
As a defense, we were on pins and needles because we knew it was going to take a lot of work during the week, preparation. Defense knew, okay, this is a big time game, and this is my first year starting, and I'm thinking, whoo, this is big time right here. This is going to test me.
Suddenly Louisville is a top 5 team with this incredible quarterback, and as Clemson, you've got to get by Lamar Jackson and Louisville. You have to win that game to even be able to win your division in the ACC. Better yet, go to the ACC championship game and then be able to accomplish all your goals that season.
If you watch the pregame show for ABC going into the contest, the pregame videos were all about the two quarterbacks, and it is the greatest matchup of quarterbacks in Clemson history, without a doubt.
We had so many Louisville fans at the Tiger pregame show talking smack, talking about Lamar, putting their L's up, all these things. And so that was really cool to see all these Louisville fans come, and it kind of made that atmosphere even better.
Deshaun Watson is normally a pretty, quiet guy. He doesn't talk a lot. He lets his game do a lot of the talking. Gets excited, but not over the top. That game, in warm-ups, he was so jacked up and so fired up, running to the fans, flexing, screaming. I was like, man, I'm getting goosebumps. I need to be down there playing in this game.
A lot of people were picking Louisville. And again, the disrespect card came up there too, because Clemson was a team that had just played for the national championship. This upstart Louisville team with this brand new quarterback comes in, and you're picking Louisville to beat Clemson in Death Valley. I know that did not sit well with Dabo Swinney and with Deshaun Watson and everyone else involved in that game.
All that energy leading up into the game. It's a lot of pressure, but a lot of wanted pressure, and we knew it was a big time game.
You just knew in your bones when Louisville comes to Death Valley to take on Clemson, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, it is go time. And of course, the game's under the lights. You got top 5 teams getting after each other.
And I remember Coach Swinney, saying before the game that this guy's Superman, Clemson's going to be the kryptonite. We're going to shut him down. We're not going to let one guy beat us. And just all the hype between these two great quarterbacks. It was one of the most exciting games I can ever remember watching.
So Heisman talk, there's always Heisman talk going on, even this early in the season. The Heisman talk was about Deshaun Watson versus Lamar Jackson. Those guys were already seen as 1-2 in the Heisman race. They would end up 1-2 in the Heisman race. That's the part that I remember the most, this exciting matchup of these two electric quarterbacks under the lights in Death Valley.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Make the days count. Gatorade has carbs to fuel and electrolytes to help replenish, so you can count on the proven formula. Nothing beats Gatorade.
So what makes your house a home?
Sitting on the front porch, relaxing at the end of the day.
Hands down, my wife's spaghetti.
A sense of security.
I'd say making it my own.
Playing with my son, definitely.
For whatever makes your house a home, we're here to protect it.
As a child, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to give back to the community. Going to college, that's the first step. And the Life Scholarship just opened up doors because you're getting additional funding while I was continuing my education. I saw that there was a need in the community, so I started mentoring students within that community. I feel satisfied when they have that aha moment. It's so cool.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Make the days count. Gatorade has carbs to fuel and electrolytes to help replenish, so you can count on the proven formula. Nothing beats Gatorade.
So this game seemed to be just one of those movies where it starts slow and you're asking yourself, where's all the action? Because nobody expected that it was going to be a slow game. Just think about it. There were 6 punts in the first quarter, but it didn't take long for Deshaun Watson and the fireworks to start as he hits Deion Kane on a big play, and Deion Kane just walks backward into the end zone. And that ultimately led to 28 points in the second quarter for the Tigers.
Deshaun and Lamar Jackson, you got Lamar riding high, you got Deshaun riding high. And it was just like, who's going to be the best quarterback in this game to win this game? Going into that game, we knew we had the better team. We already knew that. It was just like, who's going to win the game and who's going to be more mentally sound and less mistakes, whoever was going to win that game.
You know, we had a great D-line, and if you go back and watch that game, especially just like even the first series, you'll see they're relentless in their trash talk. They're trying so hard to break Lamar Jackson down mentally. They're trying to break the offensive line down mentally, and I think they had practiced their lines for that game because they were coming at him hard. Christian Wilkins was unbelievable when he was talking trash, and he was breaking some of those guys down.
Clemson also in 2016, let's not forget, was a slow starting team. We had seen it leading up to that game. We would go on to see it throughout the rest of the season. The Tigers just needed some time to settle into almost every game, and the Clemson defense did a good job of holding Lamar Jackson off while Deshaun Watson settled in.
I mean, Clemson's defense is playing absolute lights out, containing the eventual Heisman winner in Lamar Jackson. Did a great job. So that first half, Artavis Scott scores 5 seconds left, and you just think, man, it's overwhelming. It's too much for Louisville. They've never been in this position before. They don't know how to react to this setting. Clemson's feeling good going into halftime.
So as we've seen Clemson do many times, especially in the 2019 season, the Tigers made the most of the last 2 minutes of the first half and scored with just 5 seconds left on a touchdown pass from Watson to his roommate, Artavis Scott.
I see the safety right there, so I know it's going to be a bang-bang play. I see it. Boom, all I got to do is catch the ball. But he threw that thing at Deshaun, threw a perfect pass right there. Boom, brace myself, touchdown.
On the first and goal, Watson fires high. Touchdown, Scott!
Going into halftime, we were up 28-10, and we're doing a great job. The offense is firing on all cylinders, and we're containing Lamar Jackson. 10 points, that's a great job for us. And I'll never forget, we ended the last play of the second quarter on a sack. And Cleveland Farrell, he's running to the locker room like this, like, yeah, okay. I remember I had to get an IV because we had played so many plays already in the first half, and I was seeing stars. I really wasn't even there by the time halftime came. So I had to get an IV, and I say that because by the time the third quarter came, those plays started racking up. And that's when you started to see Louisville's success on the field because we were dog tired. We were chasing Lamar Jackson all night, and those plays racked up.
Going into halftime, obviously, I'm a fan now. I'm celebrating with people, high-fiving, chest bumping. Yeah, we showed Lamar, we showed him. But you have to remember in the back of your mind that this is a special kid. I mean, he has unbelievable talent. This offense, this Louisville offense and its entity is special, and they are very explosive. Lamar seemingly to be a magician. He's escaping from sacks. Ben Boulware, Carlos Watkins, these guys just seem to have him down, and he escapes and makes these huge plays. And all the momentum seemingly being to Louisville sucked the life out of the stadium. I remember people are just looking at each other like saying, is this it?
I remember thinking, as Clemson's heading out to halftime, Tigers up 28-10, Clemson gets the ball back at the start of the third quarter. This game's over. I'm gonna go get some popcorn. I'm gonna get a Dr. Pepper. I'm gonna hang out and just enjoy because this game's over. Clemson's proving everyone wrong. Lamar Jackson is not that good. You know, you can finish my thought there. And then boom, here comes Lamar Jackson. And he showed why he would be an eventual Heisman Trophy winner.
So now it seems to be there might be a little bit of a celebration going on. Tigers are up 28-10, feeling very confident about themselves, knowing that they're going to get the ball back in the second half to start the third quarter. But I think everybody still had this feeling. Lamar Jackson, they saw what he had been able to do earlier in the season and still had their doubts what was going to happen in the second half.
Founders Federal Credit Union is your credit union. We are devoted to serving you through good and bad, and through highs and lows. We are committed to standing by you, our members, our communities, our family. Together, we can persevere through these times. We are your credit union, and we are here for you. Relax with Founders Federal Credit Union.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Make the days count. Gatorade has carbs to fuel and electrolytes to help replenish, so you can count on the proven formula. Nothing beats Gatorade.
Momentum is a funny thing. Sometimes all it takes is one little play to create a spark, and there at the beginning of the third quarter, a crazy turnover is all that Lamar Jackson needed for his explosion.
So in that second half, we got a little sloppy on both sides of the ball. The offense had a few turnovers, and I think that affected us more than anything is that we had to be on the field a lot more than we needed to be on the field.
So they actually went on a 26-0 run. If you imagine, Clemson might be the only team ever to win the national championship and yet allow a run of 26 straight points against them.
Everything came to a screeching halt. You need something to get the team riled up, something to get the fans back into it, because the life of the stadium is gone. It's done. So you need to get these guys back into it. Insert Artavis Scott with a 77-yard return. I just remember the stadium freaking out, coming back to life, Death Valley being behind them.
And all of a sudden, we're halfway through the fourth quarter. You look up at the scoreboard, Louisville's got all the momentum. They have an 8-point lead, and then something magical happened. It had nothing to do with the quarterback. Mr. Scott said, "Thank you very much. I'm going to take this kickoff back 70-some-odd yards." And it just kind of gave the Tigers a spark.
And I remember being in the huddle right at kick return. I'm like, man, listen, I'm about to make a big play in this game. So boom, I get the ball. Just block, man. Just do something. I'm gonna do the rest. So boom, they kick it off. Boom. I muffed it a little bit. I'm like, damn. So I already feel like I'm behind. My boys did exactly what I asked them to do, man. They blocked their tail off, got in the way, made those blocks. I read it and made a play. It changed the whole outcome of the game.
Artavis Scott is one of the most underrated players. He's done so many things for Clemson. He made a few big plays in this Louisville game, but when he had that kickoff return, 77 yards when Clemson was down 8 in the fourth quarter, completely flipped the momentum.
Now there's new life for the Tigers. Watson hits Mike Williams over the middle. He carries a Louisville defender into the end zone. Now they go for a 2-point conversion to try to tie the game, but they come up short, and it's up to the defense to make a key stop. And they haven't been able to do that the entire second half, but lo and behold, they do. So now it's up to Deshaun Watson and the Clemson offense. And Deshaun does what he normally does, takes the Tigers down the field, and Clemson dials up a creative crossing route play to Jordan Leggett as he basically goes untouched into the end zone and gives the Tigers a lead and now a chance to win the game.
Some confusion, a flag comes in, a free play, Watson fires back, catches Leggett open, Leggett rumbling free down inside the 10, scores!
The play that Clemson scored that touchdown was actually a play that Dabo had seen Louisville run. So he called that play at that precise time, goes 31 yards for a touchdown. In effect, Clemson beat Louisville at their own game with their own play. So the Tiger defensive front seven, really all 11 players, were kind of gassed on that last drive.
People were throwing up. Ben Boer's throwing up beside me. We're in our stance, and he's throwing up because we're dog tired. But what you gonna do, you know?
I remember thinking Lamar might have just enough time to make this happen. And Louisville starts moving the ball pretty easily. The crowd is getting very worried.
They go all the way down the field, and I think it was James Quick catches the ball.
Lamar gets the ball. I'm blitzing him. He gets it he throws it left out to the sideline. I remember putting my foot in the ground, and I just see James Quick, the Louisville receiver, and Marcus Edmond one-on-one. And it's like it was in slow motion because I'm running and I can see it. And from my angle, it looked like, oh my God, he's gonna score, or he's gonna get the first down easily.
And then I hear all these people cheering and losing their minds from, across the way. And I'm like, guys, what are we doing?
Jackson flips it short, quick, works free, fights, spins out of bounds, did not get there.
From being so exhausted, barely being able to stand up, at that point I was running around, we're celebrating, we're going absolutely insane because once again the defense has stepped up and we got off the field and we didn't know how we did it. We barely could see straight. This was like the 99th play of the game, but we were able to come out on top.
That was the loudest I've ever heard a stadium in my life. And to this day, I believe that noise made a difference. I really do.
Did not get there, came up a yard short as Marcus Edmond saves the game for Clemson.
So what makes your house a home?
Sitting on the front porch, relaxing at the end of the day.
Hands down, my wife's spaghetti.
A sense of security.
I'd say making it my own.
Playing with my son, definitely.
For whatever makes your house a home, we're here to protect it.
Founders Federal Credit Union is your credit union. We are devoted to serving you through good and bad. And through highs and lows, we are committed to standing by you, our members, our communities, our family. Together, we can persevere through these times. We are your credit union, and we are here for you. Relax with Founders Federal Credit Union.
As a child, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to give back to the community. Going to college, that's the first step. And the Life Scholarship just opened up doors because you're getting additional funding while I was continuing my education. I saw that there was a need in the community, so I started mentoring students within that community. I feel satisfied when they have that aha moment. It's so cool.
The The feeling in the stadium and the feeling for me is that I had just witnessed something incredibly historic, right? This was a heavyweight fight between two incredible quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson. They gave it all. They went back and forth and battled the entire ball game. And literally it comes down to a fourth down play where Louisville ends up 1 yard short. It was 1 yard difference between Lamar and Deshaun. And that set a path for both of those teams the rest of the season, one that would lead to a national championship for Clemson.
Quick knew that he had to get to the 2 yard line. I mean, you just have to believe that he knew where he had to get. But it also became a want-to play. I just thought when he caught the ball, it was almost like he was looking for the sideline. It wasn't like he was looking to go up, because Quick was a much bigger guy than Marcus was, and not physically, he probably could have taken him on and overrun him. But Edmond was able to get enough of him and push him out of bounds.
You know, I've seen that play probably a dozen times. As it turns out, Edmond gets him to the sideline, pushes him out short of the first down. The Tigers win. But I'm still convinced that James Quick made a little fake left go right and goes inside. I think he has a chance to make the first down. And you know what? When you look back at it, Marcus Edmond makes a great play, gets him out of bounds. The Tigers win the game.
Edmonds was a non-starter that season in the secondary, but probably had the two biggest defensive plays that Clemson had the entire season. There was that play against Louisville, and then later in the season in overtime, he had a game-ending interception against NC State.
And then to all that drama, the way it finished with Clemson going on a huge run, Louisville going on a huge run, both quarterbacks having unbelievable nights and really doing everything that they physically could to put their team in the position to win. I mean, that game lived up to all the hype and more, you know, to being one of the best college football games ever.
And that's the beauty of sports. That's what we love about attending games in person, is every Clemson fan who left that stadium that day felt like they had a hand in that win.
Clemson had this run in 16 where he had really all these close games that they were able to figure out ways to win, even though in some of those games they didn't necessarily play at their best, but they figured out ways to win it.
When you look back at the past decade, in fact, you could go even further than that. When you start talking about what are the very best ACC conference games ever played in college football, you know what? This game's got to be in your top three, because these two guys, Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson, put on a show in which you were exhausted by the end of this game. The crowd was awesome. The atmosphere, as it always is under the lights in Death Valley, a matchup like this. And these two unbelievably great stars and teams, let me emphasize, and teams. While everybody talked about the quarterbacks, both these teams are really good. They put on a show that night in the Valley that we're still talking about.
It was just a lot of talent on each team. And you already had Lamar Jackson versus Deshaun Watson. You had that matchup, and then you had College Game Day coming in. It's an 8 p.m. game. All those things right there is enough to say, okay, this is big time. And we knew it was a great team. And again, we had dreams for that season, and we knew they were in our way.
Clemson, with the win, was able to separate themselves, and I can kind of think maybe prove to a lot of the pundits, not necessarily locally, but certainly on a national level, they're right, that here, you know, that 15 wasn't a fluke, that this team was here really for business in 16.
From that point on, man, that's when we hit our stride. After that Louisville game, I feel like that's when we hit our stride.
You know, we're talking about Clemson's greatest games. This is the greatest game to me. It's the best one that I've seen in Death Valley in the last 20 plus years that I've been going to ball games. It's the one when people ask me, what's your favorite moments in Death Valley? I immediately go to this one at the beginning. Just the lead up to the game between Deshaun and Lamar, the back and forth of it, Clemson getting the big lead, Louisville coming all the way back and getting a lead, and then Clemson closing it out late with a defensive stop. This, to me, is Clemson's greatest game that I've seen in the last 2 decades.